Hey, what's up guys? It's Joe from PWC Muscle, and today we're going to be installing a ribbon delete for our GP1800 project ski. The first step of our installation, like many of our other installations, is going to be disconnecting the battery. Next we'll remove the engine cover. So the first step is going to be removing the air tube that goes from the throttle body to the intercooler here. It's a really tight fit, so it's going to be difficult to show you. But basically, using a shorty flathead screwdriver here, you're going to loosen the hose clamps and then pull it out. Let's see how this turns out as I go down here. Alright, well there's one of the hose clamps that's for the throttle body, and we're going to be loosening that bolt, and then over here, here's the other one. Can't quite see it from this angle, but it's going to be that hose clamp. Alright, now you can see we have our hose in here disconnected. Really is a pretty tight fit. With that hose removed, you can see that there's a bolt right here that's holding the manifold into place, part of the bracket. See if I can get it on this side as well. You'll have to remove those two bolts before proceeding. So to make some additional room for ourselves, we're going to want to disconnect this wiring harness, which it's going to have a couple connectors over here, obviously on the coil packs, the fuel injectors. There's a few zip ties, just a couple of things just to get it up and out of the way, and that'll give us a lot more room to work on everything, as well as allow the intake manifold to come free later on. So just start with disconnecting and then snipping the zip ties that you feel holding in place. I would suggest working from the front backwards, and if there's something that's tying it up, start there and then start snipping zip ties until you get the whole thing free. There is one wire that I left attached to the valve cover here, and that you can, it has enough slack that it won't be in your way. All right, I removed the bracket nuts, even though you can't see them. The next part is going to be removing these cap nuts that are on each side, and then there are 6 total mounting bolts. To create a little bit more room, we disconnect the cable holder from the actual throttle body, and that just makes it so that we can put the whole attachment up on top. With the intake manifold just sitting on top of the valve cover here, you can see the way that our throttle body is bolted in, and it's going to be these 4 bolts that we remove next. Alright, and this is the screen that we'll be removing. Remove the Allen key bolts in order to get the spacer off. Alright, now we need to just remove our ribbon, which takes you have to pull on the seal. Do so, try not to rip it, but it'll slide out after working it for a little bit. Okay, and now with it out, you can see just how much space it's removing. I mean, this thing is really, really dense. With our new Riva plate, it'll open it up. So what we're going to do is remove the rubber liner from the ribbon and reinstall it onto our Riva ring. Okay, now it just goes right back into place as it was before. You definitely want to make sure you install one of these though in order to give you clear flow, because you can see from this lip that'll really disturb the airflow as opposed to the way it is here. So now we're going to reinstall our throttle body plate, and then reinstall the throttle body on here, and then everything's basically done in reverse. Put the throttle body back onto the intake manifold, and then the bolts are here are secured with red thread locker. Now we're going to reconnect the cable holder back to the throttle body and start putting it back in place and reattaching our
cable. So you can see I actually have the fuel rail removed here. This is really just for illustrative purposes, so you can see some of the bolts better, and so that when I remove it, or remove the intake manifold, you can see what we're working on a little bit more clearly. You don't have to remove the fuel rail. It's only a couple of bolts to get it off though, and it does make things just a little bit easier when you're working with it inside of here, but it isn't something that's required. Okay, with the intake manifold back in place, we'll start installing our caps and bolts in order to resecure the intake manifold to the head. Alright, we have all of our bolts loosely in place. We can now start to torque them down. The torquing order is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and they all get torqued down to 20 Newton meters. Since all of our wires are still out of the way, now is a better opportunity to reinstall our hose that goes from the throttle body to the intercooler. Not going to be able to really show this being installed just because of the angle, but that'll be the next step. Next step is going to be reconnecting our wiring harness. Main thing to remember here is don't forget these two connectors. We have to screw this back into the intake manifold, and then to your zip tie points. Make sure that it's secure if you can't find all the exact points. Gonna do this without showing every single step because it's pretty straightforward. Now we reinstall our brackets for the engine cover. Last steps, we are going to put the engine cover back on top, reconnect our battery, and that'll be it for our installation. You can see just how restrictive this ribbon is, and getting rid of it, I'm sure, is going to really free up the airflow on this Yamaha. Also, big thank you to Yamaha Motors for making this build series possible. As always, you can find our results on pwcextreme.com. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter for continual updates as we continue with building out our GP1800. Thanks again for watching. As always, ride fast, ride safe, and we'll see you on the water.